Alright, folks, we return for more Challenge Series racing, this time for week 124, getting relatively close to the next cup, although we have a couple of really big milestone events ahead of that even. This was effectively the last normal week, as far as I'm concerned. We have an endurance race at 125, a special race at 126. It's not really one race, it's actually like three. And then the preparations for the Special Conditions Cup, which will be kind of shorter. Admittedly, episode 127 is going to be like half normal, but there will be qualifying stuff in there. And then 128 will be the Special Conditions Cup, fittingly numbered after the driver who won it the first time, 128. But for now, Red Bull Ring. Alright, the 640 class is away from Red Bull Ring, a very interesting front row where our front four cars, the left side of the grid had two Civics and the right side of the grid had two Mazda rotary cars. And we are on board with Kyoko Sugimoto, who's not had the most attendance in the Challenge Series. She's been on the roster for a bit, but you could probably count her starts this season on two hands. And she's taking the widest berth possible into turn 3 to avoid the just near assured chaos that is that corner. Red Bull Ring, one of the more difficult tracks to get a clean start at. Whoa, as you can see there, nearly getting wrecked by, well, Victoria, Noir, and Veronica Katsuragi going 3 wide on her outside, and Noir deciding that she gets to decide how much of the racetrack everybody else has. Or probably just turned in on Veronica not knowing that Sugimoto was even there, if I had to guess. But already up into 9th place for the S14 driver on the end of the first lap here. And it could be more, as we have not finished the lap yet. Down the inside of Noir, almost gets past a Valentine as well up ahead, but doesn't quite travel that far. Behind a pair of Blackstone Motorsports drivers, as well as an Audi TT of Jack and Monte Carlo, who also has not had the greatest attendance lately. There are some new vehicles to look out for in this event. One that's pitting, so we can't really look at it right now, but one of them is my own car. Had a little bit of an engine trouble with my normal Mitsubishi GTO. However, I may or may not have gotten a word in advance about a certain destroyed RX-7 that wasn't completely destroyed. And that is my newest 640 class car, this masterpiece of a color shifting. It's the most obnoxiously Riker car possible. Green and blue, and the main color on it is a green and blue and purple color shift. And it's doing better than the GTO would be. It's held station in 2nd place rather than falling down the order, because the GTO has never really had a very good engine in it. Apparently we missed something going on here. Sugimoto was showing her displeasure at somebody. Oh, I think I see. My god, alright. Axel still hasn't extended his gear ratios, but he's certainly extending his braking distance. Nearly runs Jack and Monte Carlo over, curb hops, and yeah, gets a mighty earful from Sugimoto there. I mean, yeah, that... Not exactly the Black Stallion way right there, I'll say that much. Just barging the S14 out of the way, that causes her to lose a place to Sebastian Sham and the Beetle. She will immediately make that back up by the looks of it. And when she gets to the back of the Mustang, she definitely lets him know how she feels about that, as would anybody else. Anyway, the other new vehicles in this race, debuting driver in the form of Harvey Holt, apparently a former test driver for Ford Racing, which kind of dates him quite a bit. It's not even called Ford Racing anymore, it's called Ford Performance. He's also apparently a big movie guy, since his car is literally designed to look like a car from a movie. He's not the first of that kind. And then we have a battle for not last between August Embers and Kotori in her new Maserati Merak. This obviously replacing the RX-7 that she had. Not the one that I have taken, by the way. That's a separate RX-7. That one's gone. The one that was destroyed that I have came off of a street racer, which I guess Kotori is, but you know. Anyway, yeah, this is replacing that RX-7 that Burt Wheeler destroyed a couple of weeks ago. And it's probably a little more on brand with Kotori's typical car selection. It is a rotary 1-2. Minako Kochiya leads the way. However, Thomas O'Reilly doesn't like that arrangement, and he tries to get down my inside, but the RX-7 has, unsurprisingly, a little more grip than he's ready for. He does get ahead of me, as does Sugimoto right afterwards, but you know, it took him... I made him work. Again, the frame of reference here is the Mitsubishi GTO I used to have would be running like 9th by this point, because it didn't have any straight line speed. The RX-7 doesn't have a ton either, but it has enough acceleration. I almost said acceleration. What? Acceleration to like kind of keep everything at bay, and also handling. That's a good move Sugimoto made for the second to last corner. Now she has 2 laps to, I say, chase after Minako Kochiya. She doesn't really have to do a whole lot of chasing. She already is there. She's gonna go 2 wide with Kochiya, and it looks like we almost went 3 wide behind. I'm managing to hold these 2 off. I didn't know that Harada's Impreza had that kind of top speed. I know Axel's Mustang certainly did, but there's a couple of NFR drivers in this race. They're not doing too hot though. Kyoko is, I believe, the lone representative of Taniguchi Race Team in this event. Most of the other ones are a little ways away from here getting prepared for the next race, which is in a bit of an unusual turn. Second, 640 class race. Whoa, might get your drifter, but hang on to it there, Sugimoto. Thomas is still right there. You cannot afford to screw around. Because Risotto has joined this little lead group. He's 8C. I don't think anybody else is going to be getting into it, though. Holt is running an acceptable, not amazing, but I believe it is up from when he started. Remember, he started about 13th, 14th, and he's up to 11th. Maybe more than I would have expected, or maybe not as much as I would have expected from a former Ford test driver. Consider that the other Mach 1 is attempting to run down the podium spot and like get to 3rd, which he's going to do like right here. He's going to embarrass that RX-8 on a straight line. Thomas still within striking distance, but that's the last good braking zone, and Sugimoto went really aggressive into it. Even there wasn't really much of a chance of anything there. Harada's taking some interesting lines to try and get ahead of me. It's not working though. No effort to pass from Holt either, so I think a running order is just about decided here outside of some immense unforeseen circumstances. I think it's too late for O'Reilly to try and seize the lead. and everybody else behind is pretty spaced out on the most part. I did eventually get passed by Harada. I locked the brakes a tiny bit because I was mirror driving like a fool. But yeah, Kyoto Sugimoto messed that one up. Kyoto Sugimoto, got my consonants confused. Will head off the last turn. She will grab the W at Red Bull Ring for Taniguchi Race Team. And it is a 2-3 for Black Stallion Motorsports. Ever since this team got returned to its original identity, they have been quite hot as of late. Double podium here, then a double podium at the end of last week at the bonus race, after the Le Mans endurance race. Axel was also a part of that podium. He was the winner in that race. But I'm pretty satisfied with my my new RX-8. It's certainly better than, as I said, better than the GTO. That thing was a disappointment. I think I wore out the engine doing all of that street racing with it before taking it here, and, well, this is effectively a fresh RX-7 because it had been rebuilt, pretty much. Only, like, the rear wing and some parts of the bumpers, I should say, and obviously, like, the shell are still factory original. At that point, if that weren't the case, you may as well just get a new one. But everything else is pretty much a rebuild or overhaul, so it's like a Frankenstein RX-7, but it's still going better than that GTO. And for the second race of the week, the following evening brings us to Dragon Trail for the other 640 class event. This was originally going to be a 600 class race, but we didn't really get the turnout for that we had expected, considering the 600 class has usually not been bad for attendance. I don't really know what happened there, but the 640 class instead took over. Admittedly, probably a better fit for the circuit, considering its length. Not that it really matters in a 600 class car. It's not like they're slow. I mean, they are, but unless the track is like literally like the Mans or the Nordschleife, 600 class cars get the job done perfectly fine. They're just like low-level touring cars, or the equivalent to that. Look at that view. Jeez. And we are away from the Dragon Trail. Unfortunately, there aren't actually any dragons around here. What is it called that, anyway? Croatia's not exactly known for its dragons. Even though it is a second 640 class event, the running order or the starting grid for this race is almost completely different from that of the first one. There are a couple of carryovers who managed to get from Austria to Croatia in one night. Not the furthest travel distance, to say the least, so it's possible. Obviously. But we do have quite a few drivers who have not made a start in recent memory. Two such drivers actually, the S-chassis couple of Skylar Ilara and Celine Laurent. Very French name for a very American driver. Really throws me off. And that pairing makes a reappearance. They've not really shown up at all, actually. They seem more like, well, not journeymen, because neither of them are men, but something of that ilk. And they usually are pretty occupied with traveling, I guess. I'm not actually sure. I haven't exactly asked. But I do know that Logan Poole is the POV driver. Sugimoto is one driver that has run both races so far. She's attempting to go 2 for 2, but she hasn't really had the best starting grid spot to make that happen. She is up from where she started, I believe, but she's not up by enough, especially when the leader's all the way up here, and making quite a break for it, Mr. Burt Wheeler. Everybody knows he's not the most popular driver in the paddock right about now, so it's probably better he's this far away from everybody else on the road. NFR has more of a presence here. Actually, that's not really true. It's really just, man, August can't catch a damn break. It's just Fenny. And Noir and Jennifer were the only one before. Fenny also has damage, so that's not gonna help anyone. Not sure how that happened. I think she just, looks like she just got, late braking. I don't think she even knew that Ellie's Porsche was up there. So that's going to take that pair of blondies right out of contention. And considering Mercury's other contender here, Nico also got damage on lap 1 after a tangle with presumably either August or Laurent. Yeah, she got tagged by Selena in the, Celine. There's no A there in the Celady. And that has taken her probably out of contention. August also got caught up in the accordion effects damage to Celica for the second week in a row. Holt is also here for the second round in a row. Just trying to survive in this absolute clusterfuck of cars. But he does make 3 places here. He doesn't even wait. He actually gives Nico a bit of a nudge into the following corner. But in the chaos of having the correct line, ends up in 14th. He started 18th, so he's having a bit of a better run this time. Getting back up to present time now, finally, after a plethora of replays to review. And Logan, I think we both know what his goal is. He's the only driver on his team here. And he was, I believe, sort of a late entry as well, late applicant for this event. Having said that, I believe he was intending to run the 600 race as scheduled, and then it just didn't happen. He's like, well, alright, I'll go get the Napa Camaro. Or not the Napa Camaro, it's meant to look like one, but it's a fucking Fallout 4 Camaro. It just so happens to, be designed to look like one of Michael Waltrip's old Napa Chevrolets. 2003 model, I believe. Overtaking Hakare, who's also not shown up too much lately. Other than when he got his EG, he's been running around with that quite a bit. But as far as newer Civics, he really doesn't give them time of day as much as he probably should. Ellie and Fenny head into the pit lane. You are in 8th. What? Could be 7th here. Around the outside. Doesn't quite have the grip for that. And can't outbrake the GTO either. How did you get here? Really just been methodical maneuvering from the test driver. Just better run off than Elara for 11th. Almost gets Ruby here, but can't outbrake the 86. Just really good at getting exits, apparently. He gets a better exit out of the harbor chicane there, in spite of missing a shift somehow. And just chucks it in there, and then I guess, actually, yeah, now that I remember, he will get 2 places from Fenny and Ellie pitting for their damage, so that's how he ends up in 8th. Logan overtook Yohane or Yoshiko, whatever, the Celica on the front stretch. And now he has no obstacles, and I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. I think we both know what his goal is, the second he gets up to that truck. This has been a rivalry that's gone on for a few months at this point. Burt Wheeler versus primarily Logan, but also Demon Sports on the greater whole. He's going to have to make quite a sector to get up to him at the end of this lap, but he does have an extra lap afterwards if he cannot. But Burt really seems to be complacent at this point. He's not really in much of a rush, as you can see by the way he's taking the harbor chicane, versus the way Logan has just taken it. Whoa, camera. Let's see how feisty he gets. He's probably in range if he wants to be. Burt sees him there, it doesn't matter. Takedown! Ooh! that rattled the camera out there. The damage is done, and the caution is immediately called. We'll see him let off in a second here. Shoji makes the pass in the chaos, and Logan Cool will grab the victory since we've crossed the last lap right as the caution flew. Obviously not the cleanest way to do it, but I think Vert's kind of had that one coming, all things considered. Just textbook, and he was stuck out there, by the way. It doesn't seem like massively damaged, but it was, I believe, from what I was hearing, since obviously this is just a Vert thing, and even his teammates at Scorchers really don't care for his nonsense. I believe the report I heard from Torque and Nolo was that the rear axle broke from this impact. And considering how hard of a smack that was, considering he missed the foam or like the secondary barriers and just went straight to the Armco back there, that doesn't surprise me. And race 3 of the week takes us back to Fuji Speedway. We were literally just here not 6 days ago. Not even, 5, literally, not 6. And indeed, we it's the same category and everything, but at this point it's almost, I don't want to say it's a necessity, it's like an obligation to run something here during the part of the week where we race in Japan. Like, given what Fuji has done to allow the Challenge Series to even exist, let alone flourish the way it has, this is the beating heart of the Challenge Series, as I've said before. No different from Silverstone with F1, or Daytona with NASCAR, or Indianapolis with IndyCars, or I guess like the Rally of Monte Carlo for Rally, maybe? And we are green from Fuji Speedway. Another, it's certainly not your average starting grid, we'll say that much, as Penny is getting some dirt on her tires. As was Stephanie, I believe. And we are on board with Yo Watanabe. Especially, I don't feel like I say that very often. And she is pretty much dancing her way through traffic, pun not intended. Even though some of that traffic are fellow dancers, like Yoshiko or Ellie. There are 4 Porsches in this race, and if you remember correctly, they all started together. Yeah, you can see from Liza's point of view, right at the start of the race, all 4 of the race's Porsches started 12, 13, 14, 15. These are random grids, just for full disclosure, so I don't really know how that happened. They have not really stayed that way. Ellie and Liza have fallen back. Riel is also doing the same, but Stephanie is on the move, or trying to be. Alright, Watanabe, just sneak right in there. Holy shit. Battle of the Germans for 11th. Stephanie is gonna get some grass on her tires now. I think she already did it before, but she's got more grass. She's got more grass. Oh, we're 3 wide at the second to last corner. That's just never gonna work. I don't really know why they did that, but it worked, I guess-ish. Rather like average amount of presence for NFR. One appearance that definitely did surprise me in this race was that of Kampa in the 350Z. She is here, but her teammates at Planetine Racing are not. And that's kind of rare for that team to not all be literally together. They all have coordinated it as such that they all have cars in the same categories. I also think I was 3 wide behind them. Not quite, just an absolute quite. Oh no, it was 3 wide. Stephanie sent it on Barbara, who was already going for a pass on Isabel. And they also basically exit 3 wide, and Stephanie makes up 2 places at the same time. Interesting to see. It can't happen. No, it could happen now. Yeah, because Stephanie has a 640 class cards, but I know Flo Carrera. Be interested to see a showdown between Stephanie Kaiser, current Porsche, or former test driver of Porsche, versus. Actually, how do they define that? I think she still is under them. She still works as their test driver, but is not their head test driver. Versus Harvey Holtz, the debuting driver who was a former test driver for Ford. Making her way into the top 5 ahead of the admin. Sorry, the only admin that is here. Which is actually more than the last race had. The last race didn't have any of them. The first race had me. And I guess there were admins there, because Tyler called the yellow flag at the end of Dragon Trail, but he wasn't on the track. He was in the pits. He was at race control, so to speak. That is a very interesting top 3 going into lap 3. Oh yeah, that's right, I forgot about that. Chica is not in a new car. This is seen Challenge Series action before. But she used to have that prototype Subaru Advancer. What the fuck is that? Subaru Impreza, that prototype model that she got from a place. But I guess she just prefers the regular 2014 model. And she's put that back in the 675 class with a slightly redesigned livery on it, including a new sponsor in the form of Power C. Yo, whose own Evo 3 at the moment, originally looked very different from this, and also much worse than this. The design on that Proto Impreza, or I guess the Advancer, as we're calling that now, is not any better. They were a color inverse of one another, but they kind of didn't have great colors to inverse. And the battle of the like brown-haired tomboys here, Ryza versus Yo. A little wide for the Evo. Ryza cuts her a break there, though. Honestly, you put Ryza and Yo in a room together, you'd think they were the same person, and you'd probably get a headache, because they both have just way too much freaking energy. And Chica isn't any better either. As Chica gets basically dusted by her childhood friend. And now it is another battle between girls with gray hair. Now it is Kotori versus Yo. Their personalities aren't really the same, but their hair color is. And wow, that's some late braking right there. Not gonna do her many favors on the corner exit though. Penny has also found her way into this battle. She did not start too well, so this has been quite a run for the Pantera. I believe she started about like 17th. Okay, that's an exaggeration. She started 11th. I don't know what I was talking about. I think I was thinking of Harvey Holt in the last race. She started 18th there and made his way up to, I believe, net 8th or net 7th. Yeah, no, 7th through the chaos. The battle ahead is not done yet. Kotori defends with more late braking into turn 5. Or whatever number you call that, but I think it's delaying the inevitable. I don't think he's going to be able to keep Watanabe back forever, and I think that another late braking maneuver from the 8th seat. She really just has that mojo under the brakes right now, but in every other part of the track, Yo is very obviously quicker. She lacks only the conviction under braking at the moment. And admittedly, I think Kotori is just really forcing the issue with said braking. I think Yo's braking points are perfectly normal. And Kotori is the one pushing her luck. Well, they're solid exit from the final corner. And and I think this one is where it gets finished. Yeah, because she's going to be clear well before any braking zones that Kotori can use. My English is failing me. Meanwhile, Fenny gets back up to third in the same way, just straight line speed. That Pantera has more than plenty of it. Probably some of the highest straight line speed in the category, and probably could challenge some 715 class cars in a straight line. Chico hanging on to fourth, then a trio of Germans. Even though only one of them is actually from the country known as Germany, and the two around Stephanie are just from locations that are very close to Germany, and or otherwise resemble it. Alchemist, a test driver, and a nun walk into a bar. Hopefully Stephanie's a designated driver. Although, I guess it'd probably be Barbara, she doesn't like alcohol. She's old enough to drink. At least in Germany. Not in America. She's not 21. No, she's not 21. She is 19. No, actually she's 20. In Proctor. In Challenge Series lore, anyway. She's still 19. And she's like... Class is 18. Anyway, final corner, and Yo Watanabe has enough breathing room. That 8C has good acceleration, but it is not good enough. The Evo 3 takes the W at Fuji Speedway. Everybody is in a freaking conga line heading across the line. The only thing that's up for debate right now is who will get 10th. And that's going to be Isabel, but not by much. Not really Ellie's best week thus far. 11th here isn't exactly terrible, but she came home with a grand total of 18th at Dragon Trail yesterday, so... But, Yo is victorious. So, upon the moving of Tuesday's 600 class race being changed to a second 640 race, and the 600 class race just not happening. Instead, what we had was a Thursday event here at the Autopolis Shortcut Circuit. And don't be fooled, this is actually a pretty light rain. It's not leaving a whole lot of standing water on the track. And as we will soon find, it's actually still just about usable with racing tires. However, very few drivers actually opted to do that. They were very much fooled by the sheer density of the rainfall and weren't taking into account that, you know, it wasn't sticking. But yeah, it is only the shortcut layout, so a greater number of laps, but that is due to the fact that we are running in the 600 class. So, again, the same thing from before. It's not like the 600 class couldn't run the full circuit. It's just, hey, the shorter one is here. Might as well use that, right? And we are away from Autopolis. Interesting note that there's one Black Stallion Motorsports driver who started on the front row and another that started in dead last. And Mr. Thrasher is the one that starts last in his F-150. It's been since we've seen this run around, since this is the first 600 class race Thrasher has partaken in since his return to the series. Another very diverse field. Some drivers we don't see too much. Sam Hilton, James Altenberg, Kunimitsu Miura, Pablo Hernandez, Marcus Mendez, Soto Ukai, Diego Santrizos, Alexis Oliveira. There's a lot of drivers here who really have not shown up to many races in their time, and this really has just been a week for that, hasn't it? Just a lot of drivers who aren't as active as others, just going out and taking a race. Probably have done other, further listing. I made note of Sugimoto. She won a race earlier at the start of the week. She probably hasn't shown up to a Challenge Series race in a month before that, but she didn't have to. She won that one. Thrasher already looking at 8th place at the end of the first lap. Not quite able to outdrag an S14 though in that big truck, and is actually under some threat from his own teammate as well as Mendez in the Suzuki Swift, but much better under brakes somehow than an S14. I'm not really sure how Thrasher's managed that, but he did. That is actually probably why though. Everybody else is on intermediate tires, and I just don't think that was needed. The rain is not that hard. The moisture is only at about 25% right now. And normally the crossover point is about 33, 35. Some cars will be more lenient than others. I'm sure Thrasher's truck could do 35 because it's 4-wheel drive and it's a truck. And it can kind of clear some puddles if they're not too deep, just from ground clearance and ground clearance alone, as it instead clears 2 cars in a single corner and moves itself into 4th place. What in the hell? But then something like Thomas's Roadster being as old as it is and not having the most mechanical grip ever, probably does need intermediates, honestly. I don't imagine that thing would have too much grip if it were on slicks. Instead, it will have enough grip to go down the inside of James Stillwell and not make the pass, and will be cut off right at the apex. Still get the better run off though. We'll see if he can do something with that fact. He's also probably miserable right now because he's in an open top car and it's raining. He's probably used to it, considering where he's from. It's almost always raining in that part of the world, but he gives way to his team owner there, who will then immediately attempt to make some quick work of that skyline out there, and it looks like he will. The traction that he can get right now, because he's on the slicks in a truck, the only 4-wheel drive vehicle in the entire top 10 and beyond. Is he the only one? No, he is one of only 2 4-wheel drive vehicles on this grid, and the only other one in the race is running 17th. So Miura really doesn't have any excuses. He should have the best car here other than Thrasher. And maybe Alexis, because this thing has enough aerodynamic grip and mechanical grip to make up for it, being a touring car. But Thrasher is not for your touring car, he's in a truck. You can also count this as a bit of redemption, considering the last F-150 we saw today, or this week, this episode, found himself tailgate first into an Armco barrier at about 75 miles an hour. And Thrasher's truck, I anticipate, will probably not do that. Trying to take the outside of the Roadster, not the easiest thing to do, even with the better tires and the better 4-wheel drive advantages, but he's gonna do it. Into the race lead for Hammerhead, aka Thrasher. And I was gonna say, we'll see if he can hold on to it. I have relative faith that he will do just that. The odds are very much stacked in his favor. I'm more curious to see what Thomas can do. He's gotten ahead of Stillwell. I believe did so on the front straightaway. We'll see if he can run down Alexis to make it a 1-2 for Black Stallion. Since every race that they've had more than 2 cars in, they've gotten a double podium. Here they have 4. And, well, Natsuki is trying to creep her way up the field. She's in 9th, but Brandt is just kind of hanging out in the back of the field. He's in 14th. Wow, Hilton is slow. He didn't even get damaged like Altenberg did. Dietrich is that slow. Damn. Looks like Thomas did something, but that something was miss his braking point and just pile drive the Roadster. Not great, and that's going to take them both out of contention. They could have had 2nd and 3rd. I don't think Alexis is going to be a very happy camper there. Promotes Eric Wojciechowski onto the podium, and James Stillwell back to 2nd place. For now, Eric might change that. He had a pretty good run into turn 1 there, but he couldn't get it done under braking. He couldn't even get alongside to try. Might get alongside here, though. He does not dare stick his bumper in. He must pass cleanly, such is the spirit of the team he races for, and his own newfound purpose in his career. To be the on-Alex, so to speak, and not make positions by just barging people out of the way. Not that barging people out of the way is really the most effective way to make an overtake in a Ferrari anyway, so I never really understood why Alex took that course of action in the first place. Off of the final hairpin, Kreischer grabs the W at Autopolis. He does like this track, so it doesn't surprise me too much that he pulls off the win. Stillwell second, Wojciechowski third. Natsuki will get to 7th. Not quite a double podium for Black Stallion, but still a win, and also 12th for Brandt. Meanwhile, Thomas gets to sit in a timeout chair and think about his braking points. And Friday takes us to Watkins Glen, the only race in North America for this week. To Europe, to Japan, and now we have New York. Upstate New York. My voice has had about enough of my shit. I've only been commentating for 45 minutes, and it already feels like I'm here for 2 hours. The 750 category races here today. Don't be fooled by that little sign there. The 77 car couldn't even be in the race. My dad doesn't have a car in this class. I don't even think the 6 would be possible either, now that I think about it. Anyway, yeah, 750 class, only one debuting driver, so not much to get into. It's a evening to night race, essentially, since this is... although it is not a roulette race, it is using roulette race rules, which means it is a 10-minute endurance race rather than just a lap counter. We are away from the Glen, and it is an NFR front row. Noir and McKinley leading us to the first corner, and Fenny, in the one debuting car of the race, will join them in the top 3. An NFR 123 as we head up the S's. And yes, this is her new ride, a C7 Stingray, which reportedly is supposed to be a reference to Transformers. I don't know shit about Transformers, so I'll just nod and assume that or pretend that I know what they're talking about when they say that. Whoa, Buck. And then the other NFR driver of Uni is down in 9th. She did not get the same benefit off their grid. We are on board with Veronica Katsuragi in the crazy as shit NSX. Currently understeering her way down the hill. Kind of rare for an NSX to understeer, don't you think? Man, Inferno not the best start here, we'll say that much. NFR trying to hold Brian Ice at bay. They got 3 of them, and they're all American cars. And even Uni's is also American. So 2 Vipers and 2 Corvettes over there, or 2 Chevrolets, excuse me, at NFR. McKinley's obviously not in a Corvette Raker. That's a Camaro. On the lap 2, try and find a PRV driver. Damage for Nico again. I believe what it was that she got into the back of somebody at the bus stop, and that somebody didn't get damage to their own car, and only Nico's car got, well, damaged. Veronica being held up and going up the S's. Reen not really seemingly knowing how to take them. Hangs on to it. Still not going to have enough time to slow down for the bus stop. Nearly takes out Alice Carson. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, Gina is in a new RX-7. There's 2 new RX-7s this week. In completely different sides of a series, because one's in the 640 class, mine, and Gina is over here blindly merging in the 750 class one. Let's see if we can give her the benefit of blind spots or something, but she obviously sees this coming, there's no excuse for that. That is terrible driving. She gets beeped at for her troubles, admittedly deserved, probably a longer beep than that. Veronica struggles to resafe join lane. I did the Gina Broadbent joke. She's even like putting her signals on to Gina like, hey, fuckhead. Gina may not be the megalomaniac she used to be, but her driving isn't exactly spotless. That's only gotten so much work, especially since much of her spare time is spent on the Shutoko Expressway, of all places. From what I understand, she basically spends more time in Tokyo than she does anywhere else, despite the fact that she still lives in Italy. Or, well, would live if she wasn't in Tokyo all the time. Still basically everybody in their orderly fashion here. The top 3 unchanged as we end lap 2 shortly here. If any wants to change by the looks of things. But I kind of get the feeling that NFR have become more focused on keeping Brian Ice away and trying to maintain this triple podium lockout. I don't know why I said triple podium. A bit of a number there. Thrasher getting dusted by both his teammate and by Uni. He's going to try and get back at the Viper driver, and will do so. Meaning that Uni stays in 9th after being overtaken by the NSX. Veronica then continues her tear and gets ahead of Angelos up the S's. Ahead of Barbara heading towards the bus stop. Jesus! I'm surprised you didn't find a way ahead of Ice before the carousel. Well, when he misses the bus stop like that, perhaps. And they bang doors twice. Veronica also making her displeasure there known. And she gets stopped. She's had a bit of a difficult time with this corner. The NSX not wanting to roll through. She doesn't get passed by Ice, so I guess we consider that a win. Trying to find an overtaking maneuver on the uniquely designed car of Fenny, which you really can't see the design on it too well now with this lighting. It's ironically themed partially after races, of all things. Which is certainly an interesting choice to me. Like a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup car. I know NASCAR used to look like that, and most of them were indeed Chevys, but that wasn't what she was going for, and I know that. Fenny doesn't really care for NASCAR. There's more of enough one person, I reckon. Seems she might soon be a 4th position person, though. They're gonna both try and pass Jennifer McKinley. Only Veronica will manage, and she might not actually manage. No, she won't. She'll be on the back foot on the outside lane there and not be able to get the momentum she needs, but she will get on the outside here and clear through the S's. She's really making her bank up the S's here. The NSX, I guess, enough stability and cornering ability to do that. She's gonna go for the lead on Noir. Out-braking maneuvers required, and she has them. But Noir, somehow, I don't know how that worked, gets back ahead of Veronica with a late apex? I don't even know what she did there, but she did something to get ahead of the NSX again. And now she's trying to back her up back into McKinley. It's about worked. The Camaro's down the inside, and they're about even on the exit, but the NSX just has more acceleration. And we'll be back clear heading towards the toe of the boot. A bit of a curb hop there, not clear. This camera's a mile and a half away from the race. So dumb. Should be looking at about 2 laps to go here at the end of this lap. We need like 4 minutes left in the race, and we only have 3. As I mentioned, 10-minute timer, just like a roulette race would have. Good run from the last turn. This should be where she claims the lead from the Noir. And look at the clump of vehicles. Everybody is right here, pretty much. There's a bit of a space between Uni and Thrasher, but everybody else is pretty much nose to tail for the most part. Kawakuta not doing great. Rose also not doing great. And Nico got damaged. Still currently a 2-3-4 for NFR. I know Noir has a bit of pride, but she's probably not even thinking about them. She's probably just thinking to herself that she has to get back up to Katsuragi and take the lead away. If she can do that, that is. Veronica's beginning to make a break for it, though. Might be easier said than done. That said, the boot does seem to be the weaker part of the track for the NSX compared to NFR's American machinery. And we got Fenny's done waiting. She's going to go down the inside of Jennifer. That's going to leave her vulnerable to the Murcielago or Brian Ice, who has definitely been lying in wait this entire time. There's no other way to say that. They've all caught back up to Veronica. Pack of like sardines heading towards the second to last corner. Literally 7 cars in one here, possibly 8. Uni's about to get involved if she gets a good corner here. Fucking Barbara nose to tail still. Ice has infiltrated the NFR's ranks. He's gonna get to second place off of that. So he's gonna have passed all of NFR. Even Noir is kind of starting to fall a little bit here. And Jennifer's now under threat from fellow Corvette. Why do I keep saying Chevrolet? Fellow Chevrolet in the form of Barbara. Katsuragi seems relatively safe. What in the world? Fenny's sending it under brakes at the bus stop. She's gonna get alongside. Now it's not just Noir, it's Fenny that's determined via pride to get back to at least second. Try to recompense the fact that Katsuragi is effectively going to get away here. Now that Ice has decided to play his cards. Play a little late, I would say. I guess that's the schemer in Ice for you on display there. He had his attack plan in mind. Uni gets the 7th. Overtaking Buff through the toe. Barbara has a peek down the inside of Jennifer. Blondies with pigtails going at it, but not really that much. I say that. Literally, so does Fenny, and she's up in 3rd. She should be back there. Her and Noir to swap places. Still a pack of sardines, 2 corners to go. Where did you come from? Fenny just made a double overtake at the second to last turn at the Glen. And she gets the power down. Fenny's gonna steal the win in her first race in the new C7 Vet. Veronica almost outdrags her, but it is unable to. Fenny Golden is the winner from Watkins Glen. I was gonna say home track advantage. Well, Ice is probably closer to here as far as place of residence, but these two are American. They're both American. Yeah, Fenny was 3rd, obviously. She did not complete the pass at the bus stop, but a really good aggressive exit from the end of the boot and just a huge send under the brakes, hooking the curb and kind of getting a bit of a bumper out on Veronica. Let's do the move one more time. Yeah, just a really good exit. A better exit than a 4-wheel drive car got. and basically a full send into the second to last corner, using Veronica as a brace. And then really good traction out of the last turn, basically on the throttle, as soon as you can feasibly imagine. Veronica had the better run, but it didn't matter. That start-finish line isn't too far away. And Fenny Golden steals victory from the jaws of defeat for NFR. So it is, at the end of the day, a 1-4-5-7 for NFR. Nothing to sneeze at, considering the type of challenge they had to deal with up here. Buck and Barbara, and especially Ice. Buck, Barbara, and Brian, all of the bees they had to contend with, clearly. Not the bees!